Welcome back, S'mores, to Beyond the Campfire. We've got another great episode for you today. We're actually going back a little bit and talking about aliens again. We haven't done that since Roswell, and I mean, we always say theories of that it's always going to be aliens, but we're actually talking about aliens today. My name is Will. This is my co-host here, Steve. And if you like what you're listening to, you can follow us on TikTok at Beyond the Campfire, Instagram and Twitter at Beyond Campfire, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So, without further ado, Steven, aliens?
Aliens, indeed. At least that is one of the theories with the man we are talking about today. And we are talking about an Australian named Frederick Valentich.
Hmm.
Frederick Valentich. He was a pilot that operated in the 70s, and on a faithful October night, he disappeared.
Hmm.
So, what happened to him? Where did he go? We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the different theories. We're going to talk about what the witnesses said. And then, obviously, at the end of the episode, me and Will give our opinions on what we think actually happened and where he possibly could be. Um, Now, I'll give a little bit of a disclaimer. I tend to be the more skeptical one when it comes to the two of us. But yeah, there are just a lot of weird things in this story where I'm just like, maybe,
Hmm.
maybe. So we'll get into all of that right now. But yeah, before we dive in, Will, do we have any? Do you remember if we have any Australian listeners from the data sheets?
I can check right quick.
It's possible we have at least one, although
Possibly.
it's also possible we have zero. Which, if we don't have any Australian listeners, then
We
none of them will.
do.
We do. Okay. Is it just one?
Hmm. No, it's in three different regions.
Three different ones. Okay. Well,
I don't.
interesting. I do have some family in Australia. I wasn't 100% sure if my podcast would have reached them or not, but I guess it is possible. If
Yeah.
it's not my family, though, I know we have a couple of friends that are, well, we have at least one friend that's Australian. So,
And who knows? These could be fans we don't even know.
yeah. Or this could be people we don't know. Yeah. So there's, okay, three Australian listeners. Well, hey, if
Yeah.
you are one of the Australian listeners and you are still with us today, rejoice because we are going to your land today to talk about what happened.
Is
So
this our first Australian story?
I do believe it
I
is.
think
Yeah,
it is.
I don't think we've ventured to the land down under before.
You
So
know what we need to do when we get an office and like an actual studio is we need to have like a map in the room, and like we need to just like put dots on every country we've visited so far and see if one day we can get to visit all the countries.
that would be really fun.
Because
Yeah.
so far, I mean, we've like with the Black Volga coming out, or the Black Volga is already out at this point. But with the Black Volga episode, that was like we covered, with some of these topics, we kind of cover wider ranges, so we would have hit some more regions. But I think we've almost covered most of Europe, most of Asia, maybe. Not all of Asia. We've covered like the big stuff. I think
I don't
like
think we've done anything in Africa.
no, we've not.
Okay,
Maybe then I need to find some stuff. There
fine.
is a haunted location I want us to eventually cover about Africa.
Oh, there is. Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm all in good time.
all in good time. Stick around and maybe we'll visit your country one day.
There you go. So, okay, let us go to Australia. And yeah, we are not talking about a kangaroo cryptid or anything like that. Although, if you could imagine such a thing existing, I'd imagine that'd be quite terrifying. Because if you've ever seen a kangaroo, those they're actually kind of terrifying. I don't know how
Yeah.
you've seen videos of like not Australians of kangaroos like boxing people, but
Would you box a kangaroo for $100,000?
for 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of money. I would do it.
What's the lowest amount you would go to box a kangaroo?
The lowest amount. Okay, I'm trying to factor in medical bills. Probably 10,000.
10,000? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
at
sounds about
5,000,
reasonable.
I'm like, I don't know if that's worth it to me. But I
Because
was like,
that's the thing,
10,000.
you gotta think like how much medical bills will cost, how much then you can profit from it after you spend on medical bills, and then what you could end up actually doing with that money, and whether it's worth it.
Right. I could work out for the next few months, get really swole, because there are some people that have beaten kangaroos in boxing matches. You can beat one, if but you obviously have to be really strong. But yeah, I mean, if I got really swole, I mean, I'd do it for $10, man.
All right, you heard it here, folks. If you get us to 1,000 followers on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Twitter, Steven will box a kangaroo. He'll get jacked and swole and box a kangaroo.
There you go. Yeah, not quite there yet. Right now, I still have my noodle arms, but
I think we got time.
if you guys motivate me enough, I'll hit the gym and I'll get into prime kangaroo boxing condition. But
1,000 followers all the way across, guys, and Steven will do it.
okay, anyway, enough enough of me talking about irrelevant Australian things. Okay, our story today takes place in the late 1970s, where we have a pilot, a young pilot, 20 years old, whose name is Frederick Valentich.
Hmm.
So he's an Australian pilot. He was very young, had about 150 total hours of flying time, which might seem like a lot, but from a lot of what I have looked up about this guy, apparently he was not very good at flying planes, which might feed into some of the theories we get into in just a second. But I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the dead or the disappeared or the abducted, whatever he is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, he disappeared in 1978 at the age of 20 years old. How old would he be today if he somehow is still alive?
You said 70, 1970 is when
70.
he
Okay,
disappeared.
that means he was born in 1958. So okay,
Wait, he was 20 years old in 70?
in 78.
Oh, in 78 he was 20.
Yeah, because that's when he disappeared. He was
Okay,
born in,
then that means he'd be 58. He was born in 58.
so he'd be
Um,
42 in 2000, and then 42 plus 25 is 67. Okay, so I mean, if
yeah.
he if he's somehow still alive, he could be alive. He could be
Yeah.
a 67-year-old man somewhere.
That's not bad. That's pretty
Um,
good.
yeah. Well, I'm not going to spoil what I think yet, but
Not
okay,
yet.
uh, but yeah. Anyway, I don't want to speak ill of the dead or disappeared or abducted. But by several accounts, this guy was not a very good pilot. He was a pretty mediocre pilot. There's lots of things in life that people are mediocre at. You could be a mediocre lawyer. You could be a mediocre podcaster. Not us, obviously. We are the
We're
cream of.
pros.
And,
We're
but,
professionals.
right. But yeah, I mean, Frederick, 20 years old. He's pretty young. He is, yeah, that great of a pilot. By the time he disappeared, he had three citations, basically three warnings from the Royal Australian Air Force. The first one being for straying into an off-limits zone. So there was
Mm.
a restricted airspace that he wasn't supposed to fly in, and he kind of just strayed there a little bit too much. So he got a citation for that. And then he also got two more citations for deliberately flying into a cloud, even though he was told not to do that. So,
Dude sounds like a baller. He's just they're like, don't do that. And he's like, screw your rules, man.
yeah. So I don't know what was in the cloud that would make him want to fly into into it.
I mean, come on. It'd probably be kind of cool to like fly into a cloud. Like I saw a video of a guy skydiving into a cloud, and I'm like, that seems really cool. Like just
Maybe. It
skydive
doesn't
into a
seem like
cloud.
he was like smoking or drinking or something though, and he's just like, let me fly into this cloud, bro. He's like, let me
I
get this.
bet you $15 you won't fly in that cloud. And he's like, say less.
I know, right? So, um, but anyway, I digress. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. He had failed. He had well, okay. So he was flying smaller planes, but he wanted to be a commercial pilot. And talking
Mm,
to some of his friends and family, that was his dream, right? He wanted to be
yeah.
a commercial pilot, flying people all over the world.
Yeah.
Um, he took the commercial pilot test um, a few times. Will, how many times do you want to guess he took it?
I'm gonna guess 15.
15? Okay, well, all right. Well, he wasn't quite that bad. He's not,
Okay, so maybe he's like maybe it was kind of like a driver's test. Then maybe I'll say two, two
yeah,
or
he's
three.
not, he's not, he's not SpongeBob SquarePants, you know.
No, maybe two or three then.
But he failed the commercial driving or flying test 5 times.
Wow.
5 times. And the reason I point this out is because this will get into one of the theories. There's really only two theories of what happened, um, and which is why I'm kind of taking my time with the background information because I'm not going to be having to rush through theories per se.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, imagine something's like your dream job and you fail at it 5 times.
That's pretty sad.
Right. That's pretty sad. I would be pretty depressed. If I took the LSAT 5 times, some of you guys know that I'm in law school. That's where I'm recording from. Actually, today I am in my law school.
Not a Taco Bell parking lot.
Right. Right. Yeah. But so living the dream or something like that. Um, this podcast is a dream in and of itself. But
Hopefully it works.
yeah, I mean, this guy, his dreams to be a commercial pilot, and he fails 5 times. So
Right.
keep that in mind because I'm going to bring that up later on. But anyway, Will, any questions, thoughts, or comments before we get into the night in question?
No, I mean, it sounds like I'm getting a lot of good information, straightforward, kind of like leading up to what could have happened. Yeah, I think I'm ready to hear what happened that night.
Okay, so, oh, wait, okay, wait, sorry. I misorganized my notes a little bit. Okay, I'm going
Oh,
to give a little bit more background information and then we'll actually get into the night of. Okay, so Frederick here, he had um, some might call it a hobby, others might have called it an obsession. We'll talk about why that is. But I mean, we all have hobbies. I like to watch sports, for example. Football, basketball, and cricket are a few of my favorite sports. Um, the three Australian listeners, you guys will know what cricket is. Everybody else, you guys are going to be like, "What the heck is cricket?" But
isn't cricket like baseball on steroids?
yeah, it's similar to baseball, but anyway, those are some of my hobbies. Will, what are some hobbies you have?
Oh, I hate these questions. I like watching football. I'm a Wyoming fan, even though I don't live anywhere near Wyoming. Yeah, I like that. I like ranching. We don't have a full time farm, so I like to do that. So it's kind of we call it a hobby farm. Yeah, I hate these questions.
Well, so Frederick, he had a hobby on researching aliens.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they talked to his friends and family after he disappeared, and when they looked in his room, he had in his drawers a lot of newspaper clippings of UFO sightings from around the world. That
Mm,
was something he was really fascinated in. A lot of his friends and family reported that he spent a lot of time watching like television programs about aliens and UFOs. Do they exist?
yeah.
And his father, Guido Valentich, had reported that Frederick believed in aliens. He believed that aliens 100% existed. Reported that his son had reported even seeing a UFO one time as a boy, and he said that his son had become pretty convinced and very
Mm.
fearful that at some point in time, aliens were going to come and invade the Earth and take it over. And so that
Have you ever
was,
seen
yeah.
Have you
So
seen those memes where it's like they're like going like these old shows and it's like they act like the characters are dead and they're like, "Oh, you would have loved this." Have you seen those TikToks?
I have, yeah.
All I can think is, Frederick, you would have loved Ancient Aliens.
But
That would have
he
been
would
your show.
loved our podcast, I think. I would like to think.
Yeah, he would have liked it. He would have been listening to us.
Right, yeah.
That's our one Australian listener.
Who's to say he's not one of our three Australian listeners?
I know. It's funny. Like I look at like the audience statistics, and it's like less than 1% outer space. I'm like, who's listening from outer space? It's our boy Frederick.
Frederick, guys, Frederick is alive and well. He is chilling with the aliens, and he is a fan of our podcast. So,
Yep. They're
anyway,
plotting to abduct Steven next to make him a believer.
okay, that is going to be my new favorite headcanon now. That Frederick Valentich is alive and he listens to our podcast.
All the
I,
people, like
I
the Roanoke colonists, they really just time traveled and they're loving our podcast.
yeah. So
All people that disappear, they just go to a white room and it's just us on a TV the whole time,
they're just listening to us.
just listening to us.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. That's about it in terms of background information. So most people said it was a hobby. There was a few people that said it was an obsession. They said that he was weirdly obsessed with aliens.
Mm.
So I mean, there's a fine line between a hobby and an obsession. So I guess
Hey,
it
man.
depends on who you ask.
Hey, Frederick, don't feel bad. Steven's got an obsession with cryptids, you know? He
Oh,
finds them attractive.
here we go.
We tried to get him into therapy and it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, okay. So the week of the week of his disappearance, uh, his girlfriend Rhonda Rushton reported that he had started to have nightmares, and that he had confided in her, and he was telling her that he was really, really afraid that UFOs were going to come into the night and that they were going to take him away. This is 6 days before he disappeared.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so he disappeared October 21st. So 6 days before, on October 15th, he has this conversation with Rhonda, which a little bit of fun fact for you guys. October 15th is actually my birthday. Um, so anyway, I haven't had any nightmares on October 15th of being taken away by aliens, but apparently on October 15th, yeah, our boy Frederick here had a nightmare that he was going to be taken by aliens. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, that is what Rondon Rushta has to tell us.
Yep. He
And
must have taken too much Benadryl.
yeah, something like that.
It's the
Okay,
Hat Man.
the day in question. So, the day in question, Frederick Valentich gets in his plane and he reports to his friends and family that he is going to King Island. This is where things get a little bit weird. So, we don't really know why he was going to King Island. He had told his family that he was going there to pick up some friends.
Mhm.
However, he was told his friends he was going to go there to pick up some crayfish. He was going to go get some crayfish from King Island. And then apparently he told his girlfriend a third thing, which I couldn't find. But there was apparently a lot of different conflicting reports about exactly why he was going to King Island. But here's something that's a real kicker. He never told the King Island airport that he was coming, which was proper procedure for
Huh.
pilots. Whenever you're flying into a place, you call the airport ahead of time
Yeah.
and you let them know, hey, I'm on my way, get the runway ready, be ready for my arrival.
Right.
He did not tell the King Island airport that. Keep that
Just
in mind because I'm gonna bring that up again when we get into some of our theories. Um, but he gets in his plane, he
mhm.
flies to King Island, and he starts to report that he is being followed by a strange aircraft.
Huh.
Now, on its own, that's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, well, maybe there's a glare in his mirror, or maybe he's just seeing something that's not there.
Yeah.
However, several people that had seen his plane that night also reported that they saw a strange green light following his airplane.
Oh boy.
A strange green light following his airplane.
Mm.
For those that didn't see his airplane, though, that same night, October 21st, 1978, several people reported seeing UFOs on that night. There's actually a photo from that same night, and this person didn't even know who Frederick Valentich was. They just took a picture because they thought they
Yeah.
saw a UFO that night. And so, well, I might try to send you that photo um, after the podcast. Uh, but yeah, there was a ton of UFO reportings that same night. So
Mm.
green light following the airplane, and then something following Frederick Valentich. Now, the recording of his conversation with the Australian Melbourne Air Traffic Control used to be available online.
Huh.
However, it has been scrubbed from the internet with no explanation.
Wait, what?
Yep,
That's
you can look
fishy.
for it. You can try to find it. It has been completely removed from the internet.
So that was his transcript between him and the radio control tower.
Yeah, the recording is gone. Now,
What?
the transcript is still available. So I'm looking at the transcript right now, and I'm going to do my best imitation of his voice and the
But I
Melbourne.
might.
Right. I'm
I
not.
box kangaroos.
I'm not going to do an Australian accent.
Crikey.
Or maybe I'll try to. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be so bad. But now there are some videos of people like reading out the transcript and like trying to recreate what the recording sounded like. And some people from a few years ago listened to the recording. So although
Yeah.
it's been lost to society, there are people living today that have heard the recording, and yeah, they mentioned it just being like very eerie, very strange.
Mm.
Um, okay, so I'm going to very briefly do my best imitation. What's an Australian accent even sound like?
It's like, good eye, mate.
Good day, mate. Melbourne. This is Delta Sierra Juliet. Okay, all right. I'll try my
That
best.
is a terrible one.
Okay, that's
That
okay.
is worse than my Michael Jackson.
I'm just gonna do an
Good eye,
American.
mate.
Okay, I'm just gonna do an American accent.
Crikey.
Okay, so when I'm being Frederick, I'm gonna. What am I gonna do? Well, okay, I kind of need my glasses to see. Uh, when I'm being
Convoy.
Frederick, I'll put my hand on my head, and when I'm
Okay.
being Melbourne Air Traffic Control, I'll do like this or something.
Well, hold up. How are people going to audio listeners going to know?
Oh, that's right. They're not. I guess they're not gonna know. Um.
This is our traffic control tower coming in.
Okay, I'll change my voice too. So,
There you go.
okay, here we go. Here is the.
You know what you could do?
What could I do?
Is there a way that you could quickly send that to me, and then I could be air traffic control, and you could be Frederick?
That actually might be the best way to do it. So, okay, cool.
Quickly do that.
Let me email it to you real fast,
Okay.
and then we can do that. Okay,
I'll be
while
air traffic
while I am
control.
doing that, just so that you guys aren't getting bored, I was gonna say this at the end, but I'll go ahead and I'll just say this. So, um, basically, during the transcript, they are talking, and oh, by the way, Will, I'm just gonna reply to the
Okay.
email you sent me with the link.
Gotcha. That'll work.
Okay, so make sure you're checking that email. But um, okay, but what was I saying?
You're talking about there's something you're going to say at the end about the transcript.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so they're talking back and forth. He reports being followed by the strange aircraft, and then the recording ends with a strange metal grating sound. Um, and it lasts about 17 seconds or so, and it just ends, and we never hear from Frederick Valentich again. I just sent it. Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Let's see. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, all right. So the first line is Frederick shall be Frederick, and if you could be Melbourne Air Traffic Control.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's our best attempt at recreating this thing. um, Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. Is there any known traffic below 5,000?
No traffic.
IM seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000.
What type of aircraft?
I cannot affirm. It is four bright, it seems to me like landing lights.
This statement affirms to the pilot that the person on the ground heard this transmission.
Okay. Yeah, Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above.
Roger. And is it a large aircraft? Confirm.
Unknown due to the speed it's traveling. Is there any Air Force craft in the vicinity?
No known aircraft in the vicinity.
It's approaching now from due east towards me.
It says Delta Sierra Juliet. Open microphone for 2 seconds. And then I think this
Okay,
is
Delta Sierra Juliet. It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game. He's flying over me two, three times at a time, speeds I could not identify.
Roger. What is your actual level?
My level is 4,500 4500.
And confirm you cannot identify the aircraft.
Affirmative.
Roger, standby.
Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. It's not an aircraft. It's
Melbourne, can you describe the aircraft?
Delta Sierra Juliet again. As it's flying past us, a long shape. It is before me right now, Melbourne.
Roger. And how large would the object be?
It seems like it's stationary.
The author Richard F. Haynes, U.S. has determined that this word should be chasing me based on
Okay, all right, here we go.
things.
What I'm doing right now is orbiting. The thing is just orbiting on top of me also. It's got a green light and sort of a metallic. It's all shiny on the outside.
Open microphone. And then
It just vanished.
Melbourne, would you know what kind of aircraft I've got? Oh wait, no, I think it's you
Oh,
again.
that's me. Yeah. Yeah, Melbourne. Is this a what kind of aircraft we've got? Is this a military aircraft?
Oh, I gotta figure out where it is at because I scrolled. Uh, wait.
Confirm. That's right.
Confirm. Our aircraft just vanished.
Say again.
Is the aircraft still with you?
It's approaching from the southwest.
I think that's you again. This engine is
The engine is rough idling. I've got it set at 23, 24, and the thing is coughing.
Roger. What are your intentions?
To go to King Island, Melbourne. That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
And then it says Delta Juliet, Melbourne, open microphone for 17 seconds. A very strange pulse noise is also audible during the
And
transmission.
then it okay. So it ends there. Except
What?
last thing we hear from the recording is 17 seconds of scraping metal. Now, this YouTuber named Lily Harper, she claims that she's been able to preserve that metal sound from those 17 seconds of footage. So everything else has been lost, but she says she got the end of
She
it.
got the seven. She got the metal scraping.
Yeah, so I'm about to play that for us right now. Maybe it's the authentic version, maybe it's a recreation, but I'm gonna go ahead and play it. So let me know if you can hear it or not.
That's terrifying. That
So
is terrifying.
so he said the last words he says is first he's saying Melbourne, it's an aircraft, is hovering above me,
Yeah.
and it says Melbourne, it's not an aircraft. Then there's noise, and then there's that grating sound,
Oh
and
man, that
that's
is
that's it. That's all.
weird.
That's all we ever hear from him ever again.
Oh man, I don't like that. That's actually creepy.
Right. So there we go. That's the Beyond the Campfire exclusive recreation of the Frederick Valentich transcript.
I'm betting it was a lot more terrifying than that right there, folks.
Oh yeah. Um, we don't hear from him again.
Just go.
A search crew is taken out. They look for him for about 4 days, and after about 4 days of searching, they ceased efforts, and they do not find him.
Mm.
Um, Now, this is where we get into the theories, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are two main theories. I'm going to do the boringer one first,
Okay.
and then we're going to get into the more interesting one. So the first theory is that Frederick Valentich committed suicide, and the reason is, I mean, he's fairly young,
Yeah.
20, but again, he had failed the commercial air license, his dream, 5 times.
Yeah.
He had 3 citations already. Actually, reports had suggested that if he had gotten one more citation, he was probably going to be kicked out of flying and not allowed to fly anymore at all.
Ooh.
Which if you can imagine that, probably that hanging over your head, the possibility of your dream kind of being taken away from you forever, was kind of tough. So, um, the people that believe in the suicide theory also say, hey, he didn't tell King Island Airport that he was coming. Presumably, if he was actually going there, he would have told them that he was going to
Yeah.
be there. So perhaps he intended to never go to King Island. Um, and yeah, so that is the suicide theory. Now, what fights against the suicide theory is that his girlfriend Rhonda and all of his family said Frederick was a very happy guy. He was generally optimistic about life. You know, and he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do anything like
Yeah.
suicide. And after all, they said like, yeah, I mean, he was young, he wasn't doing great at piloting, but
Yeah.
there were opportunities for him to get better. There were opportunities for him to improve, and so presumably it didn't seem like he was close to being banned from flying, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like he was banned from flying or anything like that. So his family and friends don't believe the suicide theory. I haven't really found information on what they actually think happened to him, but that's kind of the more boringer theory. So, well, any thoughts, comments on either that first theory or on the transcript and the day of the event at all?
Okay, so you said they spent 4 days looking for him. Did they
Yeah,
find anything? Like a plane wing, a piece of the plane, anything?
nope.
Just
Plane
nothing.
Plane's gone. No plane found. No body found. They searched all over King Island. They didn't find anything there. They searched the waters around King Island. Again, nothing. He's just gone.
Man. Yeah, let's get to the second theory because
Yeah, it's strange, right?
it,
It's
what.
really strange.
Yeah, that's a tough situation. Like, I really want to hear. I know what the second theory is because obviously, when I was finding us episodes, I'm the one. I'm the one that finds all the episodes, so I kind of know what the second theory is. Um, but I'm ready to hear it.
Yeah. So the second theory is, you guessed it, aliens. And again, I'm somebody that's usually pretty skeptical.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just heard us do the transcript. He said there was a green light following him. People on the ground said there was a green light following his airplane.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
there's a bunch of other UFO sightings that same night. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really interesting to me. But did you have something you
so.
want?
So that's just the second theory is that he was actually abducted by aliens. There's not much to go on with that one.
Okay, gotcha.
Is
I'm
that is
actually
that what, that's what I'm asking?
I'm gonna flip my camera, and this is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. But like, they have an artist like kind of made his own. Can you even see that?
Yeah, I can. I can see what you're talking about with like there's so for those of you who are listening, there's a plane and then there's like a green like a flying disc encapsulated in a green glow flying behind his plane.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what was described. And I mean, you heard the transcript, so that was kind of one of the things that was brought up with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the UFO theory, here's the thing. Presumably, if Frederick had crash landed, you would have expected to have heard an explosion, a
Mhm.
plane hitting the ground, or you would have expected to have heard, the sounds of plane hitting water. That's not what we heard.
Mm-mm.
That's not what we heard.
So
And
I'll give my thoughts, but I want to hear like because this is your episode. Is this pushing you a little bit more to be a believer, a little bit?
For me, in this case, I think something really really weird happened. And again, this is the fact that we don't have his body, we don't
Mhm.
have the plane. It's nowhere near Kings Island. It's nowhere near the ocean. So it's just like what the heck happened to him? So there's two variations of the alien theory. The first theory is that the UFO, if it is an alien, the aliens actually destroyed his plane, like just completely vaporized it, which is why there's no record of him or the plane left.
Yeah,
The other theory is that he was abducted. So the aircraft, again, remember the last thing he said was the aircraft is above me, and then he said it's not an aircraft, it's not an aircraft, and then you hear
the scraping.
the scraping.
That's what throws me off about it. Is it's like I mean, and that's where I kind of lean a little bit more towards the alien theory, just because the whole suicide theory to me, there's kind of some holes in the theory. You got
Hmm.
to. I mean, like, yes, it didn't work out. He could have, if he got another citation, he probably would have lost his ability to fly. He failed flying or his commercial airline, you know, flying license 5 times. And, it's like, I know, like, knowing Steven, because I remember when Steven took the LSAT. I know if Steven failed the LSAT, I know it wouldn't push him to being so depressed he was suicidal. And based off of that, I don't think, knowing this guy had a girlfriend, he had a loving family, all of this, I don't see a reason he would be pushed to suicide. You know, I feel like he had a great support system that would have been like, listen, man, it's okay. We'll figure out a way to either get you this license, and whatnot. And so that's why I just, the suicide theory doesn't make sense to me, and what makes more sense is the whole UFO theory. And even though, like, it's totally unexplained, it's a complete mystery of what truly happened. You've got to look at it this way: the plane's missing, he's missing, there's no evidence, nothing. You listen to the transcript, okay, which happened to be scrubbed, like completely removed. Where's the transcript? And that's where it makes me kind of believe, if something did happen, could the government, the Australian government, have not wanted people to know the truth and scrubbed it? You know what I mean? And
Right.
then, of course, and then it'd be one thing if Frederick Douglass was just flying his plane, see this green glowing light, you hear the transcript, and that's it, and that's all we have. Then it could be like, okay, well, was it suicide? Was it this? Was it that? But having ground witnesses, people on the ground who never knew Frederick, saying, we saw a UFO in the sky the night he disappeared, and then the dreams, everything like that. It really, to me, the only plausible theory that makes the sense right now is the alien abduction. You
Right.
know, now the scraping of metal could have been that ship, the UFO kind of basically scraping along the top of his plane, maybe pulling the plane up or something. But I'm going with aliens. I mean, I know a lot of times there's some of these things where we've got different explanations that actually probably make more sense than aliens. But right now, aliens seem like the only possible thing.
Hmm. Yeah. This is where I land. I'm kind of I'm kind of middle ground here. I I don't buy the suicide theory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, could he have had a reason to commit suicide? I mean, yeah, sure, sure, maybe. But if he
Yeah.
if he had committed suicide, I think he would have found his body in the plane.
Oh yeah.
I think those would have been located.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I mean, it's possible that he committed suicide and still his plane and body was still not be able to be recovered
Mm-hmm.
because of just weird circumstances. But
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be unlikely. I mean, we're pretty good at finding stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like, I think one example I can think of, and we'll eventually talk about Malaysia Airlines flight 370. I think it is 370.
Right.
The We'll eventually talk about that plane and its disappearance and what could have happened with that plane. But I know, at least with that plane, we've actually found either as pieces of the wing or pieces of the landing gear have actually washed up on shore.
That's
So
yeah.
that's like, it's been, let's see, 78. So there have been 2 years to 1980, 20 years to 2000. So that'd be 22 years to year 2000. And then we're fixing it. Well, let's just say 2024. That would be almost 46 years, just about
Yeah.
47 years since his or 46 years since his disappearance.
That's kind of
It'd
crazy.
be 47 years this year, and there's been nothing. No wreckage is washed up on shore because, like, eventually I feel like somebody would have found something. But for 47 years, this guy's gone. No plane, no him, nothing. All we've got is the transcript, which has been scrubbed mysteriously, and these eyewitness accounts. And yeah. So you're going with aliens, Steve? Is this the
Uh,
first?
yeah, I mean, the UFO sightings, the green light. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's just all just really, really weird. And um, yeah, I mean, he was having those nightmares beforehand, which I mean, I don't know if that was just something random or, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it seemed like maybe he knew something that we don't, and because I mean, 6 days before he disappeared, like he's saying he's really really afraid that aliens are about to abduct him.
Yeah.
So uh, I think for me, I'm like maybe definitely something weird happened,
Yeah.
something really really strange happened, and I don't know if I'm quite over into the lane of aliens abducted him quite yet, but yeah, I mean there was something supernatural going on for sure.
Yeah.
And with the evidence we have, I'm kind of forced to say like, yeah, I this is something beyond just normal stuff. So
Well, I'll happily take a maybe on Stephen believing in aliens. It's better than a no. So we did it, folks. He's a believer almost. We'll
almost,
get maybe two or three more abduction stories, and we'll have him as a believer.
there you go.
But
That's all I have. I don't know if you had any last minute thoughts, comments, questions,
no,
or concerns, but
no, I don't. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Um, we had a great episode. I think we got Stephen very close to believing in aliens.
almost there.
We got a lot of other alien abduction stories to talk about. There's a lot, and we'll definitely cover them. There's like the famous story. There's another disappearance. But yeah, next week I'm talking back again, guys. You thought you got rid of me, but I'll be back for about another 2 episodes, and then it'll be a little bit of Steven and a little small amount of me, just because I'm gonna be pretty busy. But don't worry, I'm here, and we've got a lot of great episodes coming out this year. And this is literally the third week. We're 3 weeks into the new year, 3 new episodes in 2025, and we are doing great so far. Thank you all for watching and listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure, again, you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Beyond Campfire. And this is the Cowboy and the Indian signing off. Have a great weekend, S'mores.